Hello, my darlings. It's Michaela. So, you have just filled out the Sugar Burner questionnaire, which potentially illuminated that you might be in a sugar burning mode. And in a sugar burning mode, one tends to, some of the symptoms involve low energy, needing coffee in the morning, crashing in the afternoon, desperately needing to eat something quickly accessible, sugar wise, having interrupted sleep, night sweats, being hungry often, having cravings for sweet or starchy carbs. When we start eating one of our, whichever way we go, it's hard to have just one. It's hard to have a little bit, a few potato chips or one cookie. It's far more natural to kind of burrow to the bottom of the bag. What else? Difficulty losing weight, more challenge maintaining an ideal weight. And then other people complain of things, so that this might be news to you, but there are additional things that aren't on that questionnaire that sugar burners also wrestle with. And those are things often pertaining to their metabolism, issues with their thyroid. Often, men and women actually have issues with estrogen, and how that shows up is in things like bloating, fluid retention, migraines, crazy PMS, and more weight on the frame. There's a relationship with estrogen and weight. And generally, the more weight we have on our frame, the more estrogen we have in our body. The more estrogen we have in our body, the more weight we have in our frame. And the opposite is actually with testosterone, which is a muscle retaining hormone. Anyway, so all of that is normal. It is normal for our culture, but it is actually not natural. So the fact that you may be deeply in a sugar burning mode, you are in good company with the bulk of our culture. The whole thing about that, though, is that it is not natural. We are actually wired to burn fat, and it is an evolutionary adaptation that our cells have undergone to keep us alive in times of famine. Like, we are wired for feast and famine. Up until recently, it wasn't common to have food be accessible to us at a moment's notice. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for most people, and most people in our culture, not everyone on the planet, I am aware, we have access to food. And as a result, our cells have kind of dumbed it down in order to reach and be able to burn sugar. Sugar is a very easily accessed fuel. It is not an efficient source of fuel. It only is accessible in small amounts. It's in our bloodstream, it's in our liver, and it is in our muscles. And so basically, the reason why sugar burners need to eat every couple hours is because that's how much is in our bloodstream. So typically, when people are in a sugar burning mode and they tend to get hungry, they go down, they get a little warning, and then they go down fast. And that's when you need to, like, crawl like up to the surface of the lake to grab that donut, or starchy bagel to get quick access to fuel. But for our ancestors, that wouldn't have been possible. We would have perished if we had such a small window in terms of when we needed to eat. So take that into account with what might be possible, please. So with that, additionally, we're wired to survive and we're wired to reproduce. And so sugar burning is not sound in terms of our survival, but fat burning is. And so additionally, in hundreds of years ago, when basically we were in a more of a hunter and gathering state, or maybe hundreds and hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, our food supply would be dependent on the harvest or the hunt. And so that was when we had our opportunity to eat more than our fill because that food would only last for a certain amount of time. So we need to eat as much as we could because we didn't necessarily know when we were going to have that same opportunity again. So with that, our body has evolutionarily developed, it might not feel like a benefit right now, to store fat. And so with that, then we can access it. We could access it in lean times, literally. Nowadays, we don't need to store fat because we have food at our disposal constantly. However, evolutionarily, biologically, we are wired to store excess fuel to survive. So, what we can also do now, because of what we know, because we can consciously choose to modify or elect how we eat and modify some of our lifestyle choices in terms of stress or how much sleep we're getting, to put our body to support a fat burning mode, to get our body into a fat burning mode. And the thing that is so wonderful about being in a fat burning mode is not only is it natural, this is how you are wired. So with that, it improves your health. You have less inflammation. You have more energy. You have less health issues. You sleep more soundly. Your mood tends to be either calmer or elevated versus anxious or depressed. That is something that sugar or carbohydrates can affect us. Those are ways they can affect us emotionally. And then additionally, fat burners tend to have less weight on their frame because it is easier for you to release fat because of things that we do when we get you and keep you in a fat burning mode in terms of affecting certain hormones that allow for the release of fat, because again, we are reinforcing that there is plenty of food to eat and that we have this other source of fuel, which is abundant. Molecule to molecule, there's like 16 times more energy in a molecule of fat than there is of sugar. So, finally, fat burners tend to have less weight on their frame because not only are they working off of the calories that they have ingested through their mouth, through their digestive system, but depending on how much stored potential energy you have on your frame, there is a lot to work off of. And so what ends up happening in a fat burning mode is you feel less hungry and you don't have cravings. Those are two key markers. And so the thing that's amazing and so different for most diets or lifestyle approaches where people are aiming to lose weight is most people feel like they just have to kind of like bear down and endure being hungry and having cravings that they're not giving into. And in truth, that is a biological situation. It is not a mental battle that you should be waging daily, because sooner or later, your biology will make you buckle and it will win. So the alternative to that is to change your biology. And then basically you are working together. And what is wonderful and freeing is that conscious choices, supportive choices feel easy. And not that carbohydrates or sweets don't happen. Actually, with fat burning, we have deliberate times that we eat carbohydrates because it actually helps with certain hormones, which help with weight loss. Amazing. But basically, it's so much easier to eat in a manner, A, that you might wish to normally, and then B, in a manner that enables you to lose weight comfortably, easily, and permanently, should you decide to keep up a lifestyle that is either 100% of what you'll be learning about, or even in a relative sense. It's really amazing. And then the final thing is that this impacts your health in a huge way. And so the issues that most people wrestle with and that have untimely deaths from, whether that is cancer or heart disease or diabetes before that, fat burning supports basically or prevents premature degeneration, premature aging, degeneration in the body, and that's what those diseases result from. Okay? So it's kind of like one-stop shopping in terms of like looking better and feeling amazing and having super robust health. So, if you wish to learn a little bit more about fat burning, look out tomorrow and you'll hear a little bit more about how you can understand more about this mythical, magical, freeing, transformative state. Okay, thank you.